Kelly Vaughen has been on the scene all morning for us.
She has been covering this case for years.
And now, for the first time, he is speaking exclusively with Kelly Vaughen.
All in all, it's a bit more optimistic today. I did want to show you guys just how close the fire got. I'm standing right next to I-80. Just a couple of feet, you can see this burn scar. And I was just following up with South Jordan Police and the mayor about why they can't give us more information about what these explosive substances are or how much damage they could cause. And the bottom line is they don't want any copycats. Hundreds of demonstrators chanted too much blood. Now they painted it here right in front of the district attorney's office, where you can also see they posted a lot of signs. And I've reached out to police. Oh, and I actually just got an update this second. Police tell me that the suspect is in custody. All right, right now we are in the intersection of 400 South, 200 East. This is where these more violent protests started with an overturned police car that was set on fire. So in the past minute, there have been police cars filling up the streets. As they came here, people were throwing beer cans and water bottles at the car. And in the last 10 seconds, the police presence here has doubled. What control does the government have over Utah gas prices? There are people out there who don't actually think you're a true Marine. Are there different standards for what could intimidate a police officer versus a regular person? Because, you know, they have weapons. I am actually on a fishing pier. Normally the water would come out this high. After just a few days of big snowstorm, all of this salt could be wiped out. Now we're gonna have to keep up that energy for the Rose Bowl. Who's that?
And now, Kelly Vaughen brings you something you haven't seen anywhere else.
Right now we're around 30,000 feet in the air, traveling around 500 miles per hour. Just take a look. The rescuers simulated waves and made it so much harder for me to flip the jet ski over and get back on. Until now, Ukrainians had been using a Chinese-made drone that they found out was trackable by Russians. Now, Teal, a Utah-based drone company, is supplying Ukrainians with secure drones.
Stick your tongue out and say, ah.
I took the test and swallowed the capsule attached to a tether.
Okay, how gross did that look on TV?
There's the Utah we all know. And there's the Utah we don't, or don't want to know.
Utah needs to wake up, because I know they've all seen it. I know they've all seen it in their safe neighborhood, and they were shocked by seeing it.
Amber Keel knows all too well what trafficking looks like. She lived it for years.
I was married and living in Midvale and had just had a baby.
She says her history of rape and substance abuse are vulnerabilities that were targeted when her marriage ended. She got involved in a new relationship that turned violent. A year later, when she was entirely isolated from family and friends, the sexual exploitation began.
It started in massage parlors and internet ads.
From 2011 to 2016, Amber was beaten, raped, forced to perform sex acts, sometimes 20 times a day.
Everyone around me was under the impression that I was choosing a lot of this. They didn't understand the severity of the situation, and I was classified as mentally ill, addicted, and a criminal.
She couldn't just walk away. She had no support. Her addiction was being exploited. Her family threatened. This is all happening where again?
Salt Lake City is where I was trafficked out of, all of Salt Lake County. And then it ventured out into different counties and different states.
Utah is actually a hub for human trafficking.
In history classes, they'll teach you that Utah is the crossroads of the West. And unfortunately, we are now the crossroads of human trafficking pipelines.
Camden Robinson is the community outreach director with Exodus, an anti-human trafficking nonprofit that Amber is now a survivor advocate with. He says Utah is close to big trafficking cities in California and right by Vegas. We have I-15 connecting Mexico to Canada and I-80 intersecting that east to west, a perfect spot for exploitation.
It thrives in the shadows. And so if we shine a light on this issue, it's gonna go away.
She just got done with a job.
Candace Rivera is the CEO and founder of Exodus. She took us along on the community outreach work her teams do nightly. It's around 10 o'clock on a weeknight, downtown Salt Lake City. She offers hygiene products to a woman who says she needs to earn $13 more tonight, and a coat to another woman being watched by a man across the street. That woman showed us inside her bag, needles for drugs, and a telling sheet of paper.
And a large piece of paper with a phone number. And typically that phone number is the number she's gonna call when whatever is done or what she was sent out to do is over, and then she reports back.
The outreach teams offer help to the exploited across Utah, medical care, shoes, anything they need, with the goal that someday they'll be able to get them out. But they say they cannot stop this growing problem without the public opening their eyes.
And I firmly believe that if they could conceptualize what is happening in their valley, they would do something about it. But I cannot explain what this looks like to Utah in one segment.
One of the biggest challenges is actually prosecuting these criminals. Amber's own trafficker is out of jail as we speak. Reporting in Salt Lake City, Kelly Vaughen for 2 News. I spoke with a close family friend who was close friends with the suspect, who said his dad, one of the victims, was like a second father, and he is stunned by what he learned, what happened inside here yesterday.
He did struggle with some vices, and I didn't think that it was this bad.
Joseph Noble says his friend was his biggest cheerleader, and his friend's father was like his own family.
His dad always praised me, always told me how proud of me he was.
After hearing about the standoff with police that lasted through Friday night, Noble came to the scene, hoping to get through to his friend with song lyrics they loved.
I was just gonna go in there and, try to announce myself and rap the verse so that he knew it was me.
He wanted to get his friend out of whatever was going on in his head. Unfortunately, it was too late. Sheriff Rosie Rivera says it appears the shooting started when family came together for an intervention to help the suspect with mental health or drug problems. Rivera says something went wrong, and now 3 people are dead.
We have to figure out how to help those who suffer from mental health issues, because this isn't the first one we've been on.
Sheriff Rivera says standoffs like this one are happening more and more often and are escalating, getting more dangerous for law enforcement. For Noble, he says he just wished he could have helped, and he can't believe they're all gone.
If any of their family sees this, just know that I love them all very much. I'm gonna miss them so much.
I spoke with the mayor of Mill Creek, who was on the scene here this afternoon, and he says we can't overlook those law enforcement officers involved. He says their actions were heroic. Some of them ran into this home yesterday while the suspect was firing at them, and they were able to rescue an elderly woman who was inside the home at the time of the shootings. Now, Noble, he tells me that that was likely the suspect's grandmother, and she's actually bedridden. So thankfully, police were able to get her out, and she's being cared for, and thankfully was not injured. But for now, still a lot of investigation underway to learn all the details and more of what led up to this tragic situation. For now, reporting live in Mill Creek, Kelly Vaughen for 2 News. Nowadays, filling up your gas tank can mean emptying your wallet.
Nobody wants to get out and about, being that they have to spend more money on gas.
I don't see it getting any better anytime soon.
Prices have climbed even higher since President Biden banned Russian energy imports.
We don't think that that's too high of a price to pay to take down a dictator, but we also know that there's a way to offset that.
Tom Carter is the Utah State Energy Advisor. What control does the government have over Utah gas prices?
Gas prices are dictated by market, right? And but the government has a control over how much we extract.
He says gas prices are about supply and demand, saying if Utah makes more oil, the market could stabilize and costs would go down.
So what we're trying to do is find a way to work with the federal government to increase extraction here in Utah, here in the U.S.
Utah and other Republican governors have asked President Biden to roll back restrictions for more drilling on federal land. Could this happen soon or no?
I honestly don't know. I am hopeful.
Why not put that money in electric, solar, wind, those kinds of energy sources?
All energy comes out of the ground. It takes 6 to 10 critical minerals to make a solar panel. It takes a dozen critical minerals to make a wind turbine. And then, of course, you need the wiring to get energy from point A to point B.
And he says Utah would need to mine for those minerals as well. Another way to lessen the state's oil demand could be to incentivize Utahns to buy electric and hybrid vehicles instead of charging them for road use as the state currently does.
That's a false choice, right? We're just not at the point where everybody going to switch to an electric vehicle today? We don't have the production of electric vehicles today.
He says those added electric vehicle fees make up for the money they weren't getting from those drivers through the state's gas tax. And speaking of the gas tax, 2 News Investigates found our state has increased the gas tax every year for the past 5 years. 8 years ago, the tax was 24.5 cents a gallon. This year, it went up to 31.9 cents. And when you add that to the federal gasoline tax, Utahns are paying 50 cents per gallon in taxes alone. With gas prices so high, and I know we just upped the gas tax last year, is that something that should be reevaluated?
I'm not ready to comment on that.
He says at this point, they're continuing to look at all the options when it comes to gas prices, adding that the governor could not remove the state's gas tax unilaterally. Here in Wyoming know that this primary has gotten kind of high profile. The incumbent, Liz Cheney, she was one of the 10 Republicans to vote to impeach former President Donald Trump, and she also has that prominent role in the January 6th hearings. While that has brought her some attention, it has not gained her any points here in Wyoming. To get to the heart of what Jackson residents feel, we had to leave the tourist center and go knock on some doors. John Stewart has lived in Wyoming for 51 years. He says he's a Republican who has already cast his vote for Liz Cheney.
I do think she's demonstrated that she has the courage to lead, and that's important.
But recent polls have Cheney trailing behind her opponent, Harriet Hageman. Unlike Cheney, Hageman has the backing of former President Donald Trump. But David Bott, 18-year Wyoming resident, says that's not the only reason people are voting for her.
I don't know anybody that would be that simple. It's not just a, oh, well, Trump said, so it's, check the box. Not at all.
Bott says many in Wyoming feel that Hageman is a true Wyoming resident, while Cheney's interests are in D.C. Now, we're going to be here in Jackson tomorrow throughout Election Day, bringing you the updates. And we're also going to be at Liz Cheney's Election Night event. That's here tomorrow night, and we'll bring you what she has to say after the polls close. Reporting live in Jackson, Wyoming, Kelly Vaughen, KUTV 2 News.